Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Argus Fertilizer Matters podcast. My name is Nykole King, and I'm a market reporter covering Potash and NPKs based in London. Today on the show, we are getting the latest information on the sulfuric acid market as annual contract negotiations kicked off in mid-September. I'm delighted to be joined by Liliana Minton, global editor of the Sulphuric Acid Report at Argus. And just by way of quick introduction, Lily has been covering the sulfuric acid market for nearly 2 years, traveling all over the world to get close to the industry. Lily, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Nykole. Nice to be here. Thanks for the introduction.
So Lily, the big event this month was kicked off on the annual contract negotiations at the Key Conference in mid-September. Can you give us a brief indication on the Key gathering and why these are so important?
Yes, so thanks for that. So every year around mid-September, key players from Chile meet global suppliers and traders at a flagship conference in the US. And that is when the discussions for the annual volumes for the following year starts to be discussed. We're not just only discussing volumes, but we also discuss prices and what their view is going forward. It is a key event because Chile imports over 3 million tons. In 2023, a total of 3.75 million were imported into Chile, of which 80% is under contract. So we're talking about a sizable volume, around 3 million tons, of which Peru, regional countries, Asia, and even EU dominated the trade flows in 2023.
So how do you see supply and demand for acid going forward?
Yes, so I think that's the key, right? So what is supply and demand going to do? In the next 3 to 6 months, we see temporary squeeze in the market. There is heavy maintenance schedule for Asia and also for Chile and Peru, which will remove as an estimated 710,000 tons due to the scheduled turnarounds. That will tighten availability Chile, Peru, and also Asia. Just to give you a bit more indication, around 380,000 tons will be lost in Chile and Peru in the first quarter. We have maintenance at key smelters and also at the sulfur burner in Chile, and Peru also has heavy maintenance. And looking at Asia, there is around 330,000 that will be lost because of maintenance in Japan and Korea starting in October, and also there is a maintenance in February next year. So we're talking again about sizable volumes that will be lost. Now, all of this is scheduled turnarounds, so it's all been already factored in, but nevertheless, it will be a squeeze in the global market.
And on trade flows mentioned, do you think there will be a change on key supplying countries to Chile?
Yes, Nykole. Well, that's a very good question. In 2023, we have several European cargoes arriving into Chile, mainly because of the lack of buying from OCP. And that displays some of the Asian cargoes that should have arrived to Chile. Now, going into next year, we should not expect to see European cargoes into Chile just because OCP is heavily buying acid in the spot market. That would mean that European cargoes will remain in the nearby regions, that is North Africa, Brazil, US, and it's too far to arrive to Chile. So we should expect to see a return to traditional trade flows that we've seen this year. So sulfuric acid will be originating from Peru, regional countries such as Mexico, and Asia, mainly arriving into Chile. So again, it will be coming back to Asian flows dominating the Chilean lineup. And yeah, European cargoes should not arrive.
And what are the implications for the annual settlements? What does this mean for the supplying countries globally?
Well, I think we have to see it in this way. It's a cascade effect. When the benchmark is settled, then we should expect to see an adjustment to FOBs. They will adjust according to the final level, price level, because freight is a factor, and that also will be agreed once the settlement, the benchmark is agreed. So we'll find that we'll have the settlement, the Chilean CFR annual contracts, and then the freight is going to be settled for the year ahead under COA, and then we'll have an adjustment in FOBs from origin countries. So that's why it's so important, because this will have an effect on Asian FOBs and also on freight.
And lastly, Lily, turning to the freight side, what has been happening, particularly for chemical tankers?
I mean, freight is one of the biggest elements now in the delivered cost for acid. So its dynamics this year have been key, and Asia freight 30,000 tons to Chile is around, present is around $120 per ton. So we're talking three digits, and the annual contract in Chile right now is an average of 127.5. So you can see the FOBs on a netback basis are quite squeezed. So knowing and keeping an eye on freight is absolutely key. And what's been happening over the past couple of months, I think, is we've seen a slightly weaker sentiment coming from the summer months in the Northern Hemisphere, lower rates, especially transatlantic, and also within the Asian region. For farther afields, for like longer journeys, we've seen a bit more robust. We're still well into the three digits. But we have to see what's happening with the overall segment, overall chemical tankers, because we have pressuring factors such as bunker fuels, which are going down, crude oil prices going down. We also have lower demand from the sector, and all of that is impacting on, vessel availability and vessel owners trying to secure the demand for the tankers. So freight is something that we're keeping a close eye, and having a Chilean settlement will help us see what's going to happen for the COAs next year.
Thanks very much, Lily. That was really insightful to learn about some of the factors impacting the sulfuric acid market. This brings us to the end of the Argus Fertilizer Matters podcast. My sincere thanks to Lily Minton, global editor of the Sulphuric Acid Report here at Argus.
Thank you, Nykole. It's a pleasure to be here and with all the listeners.
And as always, thanks for listening. Don't forget to look out for the next episode, which will be out next week. Until then, this was Nykole King for Argus Media. Bye for now.